It started as a trickle, a handful of mentions on Twitter that first afternoon. I was crouched on the cracked concrete steps outside my brother's apartment in Umoja, refreshing my phone beneath a smoky Nairobi sky gone gold with dusk. People online had found the crowdfunding video I'd uploaded the night before, my shaky voice, cracked screen, the quick pitch about a service that would one day revolutionize small business accounting in Kenya. I had recorded the whole thing in the kitchenette after midnight, heart pounding, sure I was onto something. Now the ridicule spilled down the screen. Within hours it all went wrong. The first viral post came from someone at my old university, a screenshot of my video cropped to accentuate my blinking, nervous face with the caption, "This is what happens when your cousin fails cat ii." It was shared, then reshared, the laughter gathering inertia. By 6, memes sprouted across Instagram and Facebook. One featured a sepia photo of a battered abacus, labeled futuristic tech startup from Umoja's own visionary. Someone else clipped together a montage of my stuttered introduction with the soundtrack from a famous slapstick comedy and the hashtag ijunashuka, he starts then falls down. My name, Wycliffe, soon trended alongside. Friends tagged me, old classmates sent crying laughing emojis over WhatsApp. Family joined in, my own uncle left a public comment, better to learn tailoring, fewer heartbreaks. I didn't sleep that night. There was no formal home to return to, just a long, jittery walk around the block, the eruption of crickets and distant generator rattle for company. Nairobi at 2 in the morning is all shadows, and in their cover I found a dry, brittle anger that bruised against the heavier truth. They'd seen my best effort and their answer was open derision. By morning my crowdfunding page showed 2 donations, both from distant cousins, each for 100 shillings, added long before the mockery rolled out. I watched the comments mount, propositions for how I might pivot to a roadside chip stand, offers for manual labor. The city always wakes early, the rest of Umoja stirred as I tried to make sense of my own humiliation. That was my family's cue. By 9, my sister Miriam rang the doorbell, entered with that brand of exaggerated cheerfulness reserved for tragic cases. She slid her phone across the breakfast table, the video open, and paused at my frozen, earnest face. "Wycliffe, why didn't you show us?" she asked, but her tone was less wounded than amused. I tried last week," I said. "You were busy." She grimaced. I searched her face for empathy, but found only a reflexive skepticism. She poured tea, drummed her fingers. "It's just, you know how social media is," she said. "People talk. They do more than talk." Her smile reminded me of our mothers, gently admonishing, intended for a child who has failed to see the full picture. "Maybe look for a job at Safaricom, I can pass your CV." That was the refrain in our household, despite my pitch decks and late-night research and hacking away on my battered laptop. Join someone else's vision, plug your labor in and keep your ambitions, especially if they seem abstract, safely inside. They didn't see what I saw, what I had been drawn toward since I first read about the solitary Nigerian coder who devised a payments gateway worth billions, all out of a Lagos apartment block not unlike ours. The next weeks blurred, each day gnawing at what was left of my confidence. I tried outreach, sent cold emails, pinged Twitter DMs, all swallowed by the void. Landlords wanted rent. My brother grew terse over borrowed data bundles. Family avoided eye contact, careful to let me know I was loved, but, in that tragic way, not quite respected. In Umoja, neighbors passed over the fence and offered wry encouragement. "Next time, let me feature in your trailer for Netflix." I retreated to the public library in town, Wi-Fi hacking together lines of code, reading startup autobiographies between the stacks. Nights I walked the city at a simmer, determined not to surrender to the gnaw of shame. And yet, I sang all their mockery in my mind as I tried, and failed to build the app. What people did not understand, and what I could not make them understand, was the pain of being laughed at is its own kind of fuel at first, but it burns fast, it scorches you hollow. They thought I was playing at CEO, but denial was the only armor I had. Word got around my family. My older brother Daniel paid a formal visit one Sunday, arriving in collared shirt like he was attending a hearing. He bore gifts, a used dressman tie, a paper bag of mandazi, and his version of wisdom. "I just want to talk," he said, closing the kitchen door for privacy. I waited, arms tight across my chest. "At some point you have to ask, is it pride, bro? Is pride what keeps you at this thing?" I wanted to protest, but I couldn't. I felt the truth in his voice, the weary devotion behind it, and also the limits of his patience. "If it's hard, you quit. If it's meaningful, you endure," he said. "Is this meaningful?" I wanted to sob, but I didn't. I just nodded. It is, I said. He shook his head, a mixture of pity and exasperation, and gathered his tie and left. Across the walls of my borrowed room, my phone screen flickered anew, a message from a cousin in Kisumu, a gif of a toddler typing furiously. The mockery was persistent, circular, unending. The only way out was through. I withdrew, working from sunrise to midnight, living on strong tea and ugali. I sold my old phone for extra cash. By some grace, the library Wi-Fi held up long enough for me to fudge a serviceable prototype, a crude web tool African SMEs could use to automate their invoices without downloading anything, data-light for slow connections. It was ugly, inelegant, but it ran. Feedback was hard to hear, but I kept posting in developer Slack channels, reached out to business groups on WhatsApp, messaged entrepreneurs I admired. Sometimes I deleted my outreach after typing, thinking of all the people who'd seen me fail online. But the idea had become a shelter, a small private hope that kept me breathing through the mockery. After a few weeks, someone replied, a woman named Sylvia in Eldoret. She ran a fabrics shop and wanted to try my tool, then a hardware store, then a small solar company. Growth was slow, drops through a leaky bucket, but these first customers carried the weight of proof. I reinvested everything I scraped together. I built new modules, taught myself server management on borrowed data. I lost weight, lost friends, lost the safe embrace of family dinners, but little by little, strangers, never those who'd ridiculed me, emailed to say that with my tool, their ledgers balanced, their GST records submitted on time. Money was slow to follow. I met would-be investors, most of them after photos or pitching offers that would have signed my company out from under me. I learned to say no, even when hunger said yes, anything. Reconstruction came in fits. I was not so much building a startup as reassembling my sense of self. For months, my siblings sent job links and Bible verses, and sometimes photos of someone else's child's graduation party captioned, "See what happens when you humble yourself." My mother called me home for family prayer but winced at the sight of the battered laptop, as though it smuggled in all my failure with it. But the cracks kept filling in. The customer emails came more steadily, praise with it. After a feature in a business magazine, small but enough, I got calls from fintechs hungry for partnerships. The user base climbed in the hundreds, then thousands. The real shift came quietly. A journalist from Standard Group asked for an interview, a 10-minute slot on TV. My first reaction was refusal. That same voice from my video, the subject of so much ridicule, was now an asset. People wanted to hear it. I almost said no, but something inside me, something sharp, a little desperate, made me say yes. The piece ran on a Friday night, my face pale but determined, my voice steadier. The journalist called my project the local solution upending the international giants. I watched it first on the cracked TV at my friend's dorm, then again alone at midnight in the same kitchenette where it had all started, the scene of the crime. That night I received messages from old classmates, investors, businesses. Someone from Jumia reached out, everything shifted. My software's name, once a punchline, now appeared in LinkedIn posts as a disruptor. I missed home during those first bursts of true success, a painful, muted yearning for real welcome. But my pride was still covered in the dust of all those public failures. The urge to return warred with a desire never to set foot in Umoja again. As users and revenues grew, I hired my first developer. Then two more, then a marketing team, then a cramped rented space on Ngong Road, nowhere near the glass towers but mine, every cable and table and battered chair. News trickled back. My uncle now told others at church about his nephew, the entrepreneur. My siblings claimed cautious pride, qualifying stories with, "After all he suffered, you know." One Saturday morning, a sky heavy with cloud, the city restless with the onset of rain, I got the call. Miriam, my sister, her voice crisp, just shy of casual. "Can you come home this weekend?" she asked. "We're doing a fundraiser for Daniel's twins. It would mean a lot." I hesitated. The silence built, a pressure, a summons, a plea beneath the request. "I'll come." A pause, "Bring, maybe you can say a few words. Some people from church want to meet the founder." On Sunday, I took a matatu back into Umoja. The familiar streets flashed by, dangling electric wires, hand-painted shopfronts, old men hunched over steamy mandazi stands. In the drizzle, kids splashed through potholes as grease smoke curled up from charcoal stoves. The city felt the same, but also impossibly small. The estate was crowded. At the gate, cousins waved. My heart stumbled as I crossed the threshold for the first time in nearly 2 years. The old house painted the same uneven off-white. The steps chipped as ever, Laughter and music slid through the open windows. Inside, the family congregated in shifting clusters. My brother Daniel, heavier now, stood near the door with his wife and daughters. My mother fussed over trays of rice. From the lounge, I caught glimpses of neighbors and cousins and former schoolmates, faces that once witnessed my worst humiliation. People whispered. My skin crawled beneath it, the memory of their earlier amusement a haze shifting over every interaction. But there were nods too, acknowledgement, wary curiosity. Lunch passed in a blur. I found myself rerunning my pitch in my head, eyes on the phone, part habit, part escape. Eventually, a neighborhood elder tapped her glass for quiet. "Wycliffe, come," Miriam urged, steering me forward by the elbow. "Tell everyone, people want to understand." I cleared my throat, heart pounding. The living room was packed. Family, childhood friends, skeptics, that uncle who told me to consider tailoring. I didn't have a speech, I spoke plainly as myself. "My name is Wycliffe. Maybe some of you saw the video those years ago." You laughed. I don't blame you, it looked ridiculous. I sounded unsure, but I kept at it because I believed one thing: those who build tomorrow never look perfect today. I failed often. I wanted to quit 100 times. Sometimes I did quit, if just for a while, but I got up again, and I kept learning. I watched their faces, searching for mockery, finding instead a silent reckoning. I pulled out my phone and opened my software dashboard, large blue graphs, active user counts. This is what it's grown to. I raised the screen so everyone could see. The dashboard refreshed. 32,000 businesses live, thousands of invoices processed daily. The room was silent. I passed the phone to Daniel. He blinked at the screen, brow knitted in confusion, then understanding. "That can't be real," he murmured. "It is. Try submitting a fake invoice, you'll get a sample receipt." He did. The PDF chimed in his inbox. He stared, then grinned, the kind of involuntary smile that shatters old prejudices. My uncle, voice tentative, cleared his throat. "So this gives jobs too. 14 full-time now and more part-times." Kids pressed forward, eager to see the dashboard, as if the numbers on the glowing screen were magic. For the first time, nobody laughed. Instead, hands reached to clasp my shoulder, pepper me with questions. The skepticism dissolved, replaced with a kind of wonder tinged with belated respect. Miriam hugged me, tight and true and tearful. "I'm sorry," she whispered. We didn't think it was possible. I don't know, I'm proud of you." Later that day, as the family fundraiser wound down and the clouds finally burst open outside, I stood at the gate, staring out over the familiar chaos. My shoes were muddy, my hands sticky from the food, but inside I was impossibly light, a balloon cut free. Daniel joined me, his voice gentle and private. "Forgive me, bro. I only wanted to spare you suffering." I didn't answer at first. I watched a street hawker wheel his cart past, dusted in rain, undeterred. There was nothing left to prove. "Suffering is part of it," I said finally. "But it's better coming home after, not during." He laughed, then caught himself. "What now?" I shrugged. "Now, I just keep building, maybe help the next person." We watched the rain together, brothers again. In that moment, Umoja was not a place of ridicule or defeat, but one that had, through hardship and return, made me whole. When I stepped out the gate, it was as if the city itself nodded in recognition, not just for what I'd built, but for daring to dream it in the first place. The laughter had faded, and what remained was the sound of rain drumming gratitude on the iron roofs of home.